I was discussing homework with my classmate. All of a sudden, water was pouring over us from above. I screamed so loud that passerbys started to look around, and then I couldn't stand properly. I fell right on top of Adrian. I fell so hard that our lips almost touched. At that second, I was unbearably hot, but my fear overcame my embarrassment, and I quickly got on my feet. I ran away from the water, which I was terrified of. I didn't look around, and I bumped into someone, and it was Lucas, my boyfriend, holding the water hose on. "Lucas, why did you do that?" I resented him.
"And why were you standing so close to Adrian?"
"We were just discussing homework."
Yeah, that's what I believed.
Lucas immediately turned the hose on me. I was soaked to the skin, and my boyfriend walked out, claiming I was a cheater. "Hi, my name's Sally, and my jealous boyfriend controls my every move." I didn't realize how I started dating Lucas at all. My friend and I were sitting on the beach, and we were laughing at Kitty Cat videos. And then our classmate Adrian and Lucas came up to us. They sat down next to us, and they were watching the video too. And then Lucas abruptly picked me up and ran towards the water. I screamed so loud, he tripped and almost dropped me on the sand. "I'm sorry, I'm just afraid of the water," I admitted, and I blushed, ashamed of my phobia.
"Oh, I didn't know."
Lucas smiled absurdly.
"What else don't you like?"
That's how we got talking, sitting practically by the water. As it turned out, he and I had a lot in common. For instance, we both didn't like the new Spider-Man, Netflix shows, and cheese pies. Ugh, that's the lame part, because afterwards, it stinks like a garbage can, or worse. Lucas and I started texting each other, and at some point, he announced that I was his girlfriend. No, I mean, I liked him, but all of a sudden, without even asking me,
"What's there to ask, baby? I can tell you're crazy about me."
He smiled smugly. "Well, I am." I giggled stupidly.
"Girls like confident guys, and I'm going to tell you that I'm your boyfriend now."
Well, I didn't argue, because I'd wanted to start dating for a long time, any guy at all. All my girlfriends had broken up a few times, and then got back together with their exes. And I, like an idiot, haven't even been kissed once. That sucks. However, after 2 days, my boyfriend put up a show. I was just talking to the delivery guy who delivered our pizza, but Lucas didn't like it, and then he punched him. Lucas gave the delivery guy a big bruise under the eye and said,
"It's a tip, asshole."
The delivery guy ran away screaming, and I was shocked. What was that all about?
"No guy flirts with my girlfriend."
"But we were just talking."
"That's what you think. You just don't know how guys flirt. I really like you, Sally. No, I'm even in love with you, and I don't want any jerks trying to take you away from me."
Lucas has a crush on me? A real guy fell in love with me. I immediately melted at those words. He's so cute, and he's so romantically jealous of me. You're only jealous when you're in love. I hugged Lucas so tight that I almost broke his ribs. But after a week, his jealousy didn't seem so sweet, because Lucas made me really paranoid. One night, I was on my way to vocal lessons, and I felt like someone was following me. I kept looking around, but I didn't see anyone suspicious, and that made it all more creepy. I had the feeling that someone was following me, and I was right. As I was singing in the duet with Jack, the lights suddenly went out in the hall. It was pitch black. Suddenly, someone grabbed my arm and dragged me somewhere. I screamed in fear. Jack wanted to save me when he heard the screams, so he tried to attack the man who was holding my hand. But instead, he pushed, not him, but me, unable to see in the darkness. Suddenly, the lights came back on. I was lying next to Jack, and Lucas was standing next to me, red with anger. "What are you doing here?" I asked.
"I came to get you. You were with this guy."
The boyfriend was furious. "Yeah, we're singing a duet."
"Now you'll either sing with a girl or alone. I'm not letting you perform with the guy."
Lucas threatened Jack with his fists, and he immediately backed off and said he didn't want any trouble. I was really mad at Lucas. because it turned out he was the one who'd been following me, which scared me. But my anger dissipated instantly when my boyfriend gave me a huge bouquet of roses.
"Beautiful flowers for a beautiful lady,"
he murmured, and then he kissed me on the lips. My heart almost stopped. It was my first kiss, the most magical moment of my life. But the phone call ruined everything. It was Adrian. I guess he forgot to write down his homework again.
"Why is he calling you?"
Lucas asked unhappily. "He always calls me about homework," I said nonchalantly, and took the call. As I chatted with Adrian, I didn't notice Lucas plucking the petals from the roses he'd given me with jealousy and anger. And the next day, the very thing that started my story happened. Knowing I was afraid of water, Lucas decided to throw water on Adrian and me. After that, I decided to stop communicating with my boyfriend. I didn't answer any calls or messages. I just saw pop-ups. Lucas texted me some ridiculous insults at first, and then he apologized for everything he'd said. Then he showed up at my house and told me that he would change as long as I didn't break up with him. I agreed to keep the relationship, and after a few days, I regretted it. One day, Lucas was at my house, and when I went to the kitchen to get some cookies, he went through my phone. Lucas went through all my texts with Adrian and Jack, and then he threw my phone on the floor and started stomping on it. There was almost nothing left of my beloved smartphone and my broken heart.
"You won't talk to them anymore, Sally. I don't want my girlfriend hanging out with any other guys besides me."
And then he started controlling my every move, watching me again, checking my phone. At school, Lucas tried not to leave my side for a second, and he still managed to find a reason to be jealous. His victims were delivery men and store clerks. Eventually, I got to the point where he forbade me to wear dresses and skirts.
"Why is that?" "I don't want anyone to see your pretty legs. Dresses and skirts make you too feminine. Someone might like you, and then I'll have to deal with this guy so he doesn't hit on you."
It was starting to sound really stupid. I didn't agree to Lucas's terms. He ended up making me feel guilty about hurting his feelings and said I didn't appreciate his love at all, since I'm not willing to give up some dresses and skirts for the sake of a great feeling. This situation completely threw me off balance. I walked in the rain, crying, and I thought about what I did wrong to Lucas. I mean, he's doing it out of love, and I'm really hurting our feelings. Now I owe my boyfriend an apology. Love and a relationship with him is really more important than some clothes. But before I could dial a number and start crying for forgiveness, someone stood beside me with an umbrella. I looked up, and I saw Adrian.
"Hey,"
he smiled at me.
"You're going to get so cold and sick. Come on, let's go sit in the cafe and have a cup of tea."
I was really cold because of the rain, and I said yes to tea. Adrian saw that I wasn't okay and asked me what was wrong. But I just made up stupid excuses. I didn't want to talk about my complicated relationship with Lucas. Why burden the man? While we were drinking tea, I had completely forgotten that my boyfriend liked to control my every move. And even though he left me, I didn't think about the fact that he'd be waiting for me to leave the house the whole time. He was watching me again, and he saw me having tea with a classmate. Lucas burst into the cafe like a hurricane and immediately attacked Adrian. Adrian himself, however, was very good at fighting and quickly twisted my boyfriend.
"Get away from my girlfriend,"
Lucas hissed angrily.
"She only belongs to me." "But she's not an object to belong to anyone."
Adrian was indignant.
"She belongs to me. I'm dating her. You're suffocating her with jealousy. She's even stopped talking to her friends at school because she's afraid of upsetting you. And that's right, because Sally can only hang out with me."
Finally, Adrian couldn't take it anymore and punched Lucas in the face. And then he took my hand and led me away from the cafe. We walked down the street in silence for a long time, and then Adrian said that Lucas was being disgusting, and that I'm a human being and a person, so I shouldn't have to obey anyone.
And then he won't let you leave the house.
It's just jealousy, and you get jealous when you love.
No, Sally, you get jealous when you're not sure of yourself or your partner. But I can tell you that you're a nice, sweet girl, And Lucas is trying to ruin it because you're so much better than him. He knows that, and that's why he's trying to shut you out.
Lucas was only doing it to please his ego and also cover up for his insecurities, even though I thought he was cool at first. Adrian walked me home, and that same night, Lucas came to see me. He made a real scene, calling me names, trying to make me feel guilty, but I didn't let him provoke me. I told him firmly that we were breaking up. Lucas wasn't expecting that. I guess he thought I would ask him to forgive me again, but he miscalculated. At school, Lucas tried to fight with Adrian again, but the principal stepped in. He threatened Lucas that if he fought again, he'd get him expelled.
You can have this cheapskate,
Lucas said to Adrian. I was hurt by those words, but Adrian took my hand and told me he didn't think I was cheap. For a few more days, Lucas pestered me with calls and texts, but I blacklisted him. Adrian helped me recover from this toxic relationship. He was showing me with his concern that there are other guys out there who are 100 times better than Lucas, and that relationships can be normal. Don't rush into a relationship with the first guy who offers it to you. It's better to be alone and wait for your prince than to be forever controlled by an inadequate, jealous man. How do you feel about jealousy? Write your answers in the comments and subscribe to the channel not to miss new videos.